Kim Sharma, who's a pretty successful makeup artist, and we're really excited to learn about exactly how she figured it out. So to start, Kim, how long have you been doing makeup professionally?
I would say the term professionally for around, I would say 8 years. Because I feel like I've been doing it before that, but I was figuring it out. The first 4 years. So I would say like around 8 years.
Yeah. So how did you get into makeup? Were you just doing it for fun on yourself, on your friends?
Actually, so like, growing up, you're young and you're just like going out all the time, and every time it was time to go out, like, my friends would be like, oh my gosh, like, your makeup so good, like, can you do mine? Can you do mine? And then it just became this thing where, like, with friends and family, they'd just be like, hey, like, I got a wedding to go to, can you come over and do my makeup? And then just got like practice off that. And then I was like, hey, like, I actually kind of like really enjoy doing this. And then I started like looking more into it and doing research and, trying to figure out if this is something that I want to do. And yeah, it kind of just like snowballed into today.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Do you remember who your first paying client was?
My first paying client, oh my god, I actually don't. I really wish I did. That would be so cool if I remember. I wish I did remember actually, because I would probably like love to do her makeup like today, do like a before and after.
Yeah. What about like your first big professional job where you're like, wow, I'm a real life makeup artist. I'm doing it now.
Honestly, this is gonna sound so crazy, but I feel like just like recently when I did the Met Gala, like it took me all those years to be like, wow, like, oh okay, like I could do this, even after like all these years of doing that. But that was like a moment where I was like, wow, and I felt like, okay. And people always say, oh, you're successful, you're professional and everything. And like, I know that, but like that's when I actually really felt it just recently. So.
Yeah, I mean the Met Gala, that is huge. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I mean I think one of the big things of why we're even having this conversation series with people like yourself is because there's a real difference between doing makeup professionally for clients, like weddings and things like that, but then doing makeup for someone at the Met Gala.
Yeah, there's always like steps to it, like you can start off doing freelance and then you can get into like bridal and then like just I feel like with any other career or when you're in a position, you just kind of like always want to get to the next step, and that's like that's your ultimate goal is like, okay, what can I do next, what can I do more, and then so yeah, I would say like there is definitely doing the Met Gala was like a little bit of a step up, and it kind of was like it was a very wow moment. And although I do really appreciate, like, of course, I love doing bridal makeup, I love being with clients and everything, but like, it's always good to like work for something more, and have that. So yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, boss lady, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
So when you think back to early on in your career, when you're transitioning from doing makeup more casually for your friends, not necessarily like building repertoire of clients, what would you say helped you transition to actually doing this professionally for clients? Like, how did you build a client set? How did you get the word out there about what you were doing?
So what's actually super crazy is that, like, nowadays, like, we all know, like, social media is, like, the biggest outlet for, like, promoting your business and all of that. And, like, when I started, it was, like, there was no Instagram. There was a Facebook, but, like, it really wasn't, like, as huge as it is today. Yeah, So, in a way, like, back then, it was super cool because, like, when you did somebody and then they went to an event, everyone was like, oh, well, who did your makeup? And at that time, it was just, like, referrals. And it was super cool at that time because, there are obviously, like, pros and cons of, like, social media, but I feel like back then, like, with referrals, it's like, oh, if someone said you were good, like, you were good, and they trusted you already off the bat. But, so I would say, like, when I started getting, like, more referrals, like, people calling me, like, hey, you did this person, it just kind of, like, it was like a domino effect, I did one person, then I got from that person 3 other people, and then, and it just kind of, like, took off from there. And I would say, like, that's when I really felt like, wow, okay, like, this is, like, turning into, like, something that, like, I could just really, if I work harder and, like, I could potentially just, like, keep on doing this, like, even though I was in school and everything else, my mind was just, like, on this, like, that was kind of, like, it was just like, it wasn't second, but it was just like, I was like, wow, like the feedback that I was getting, it was just like, it was pretty amazing. And I just kind of like kept on with that. So I would say like that was a point where like the referrals, word of mouth, definitely. When as I started getting more, I started feeling more like, wow, like I like doing this. This is like actually something that could work out for me.
Yeah. And so what were also some of the initial steps that you took to maybe figure out your pricing and how much you should charge for your services? What was that like?
That was quite difficult because I kind of like always, I never wanted to kind of like figure out like, okay, well, how much is this person charging? Should I charge more than them? Should I charge less than them? So that really was sort of difficult for me because I felt like when I first started, I obviously didn't have like all of the experience. Like anybody else starting out, you're kind of like, I don't want to charge too much because I'm like, you know, I'm just starting. Am I allowed to charge this much? You know? But so I charged a price where I was comfortable with, and then as I started getting a lot more inquiries, like I felt like when I improved, that's when I felt like, you know, I was like, it was fair for me to charge more. And that's how I kind of just kept on going from then. But it was quite difficult because in the beginning, like, and then people also know that you're starting out, so they're like, you know, they're like, hey, take this. And I'm just like, okay.
You can't barter.
Right, I'm like, not even gonna bother you because I but eventually I feel like when you gain the confidence and you know, like, you feel like your work has value, it becomes natural to just charge a little bit more and charge what you know you deserve. So that was kind of how it happened.
Yeah. So I want to talk a little bit more about this emotional side of starting out because we were kind of touching on it a little bit where, you know, in the beginning you do have a little bit of self-doubt of, you know, are my services worth what I'm charging and can I really do this on my own? But then it gets better, obviously, it sounds like. Can you go back to what those emotions were like and kind of talk us through that?
So I would say like in the beginning, it's, you know, you should always focus on yourself when you're trying to do anything, right? You know, you shouldn't pay too much attention to what everyone else is doing. But it's just, I feel like in this industry, it's really hard kind of not to in the beginning because they were, of course, other makeup artists. So it's like you kind of like just like, they're like, Dad, you know, is my work as good as theirs? So I feel like that's like really like the emotions that I kind of went through because it was just not really knowing how much to charge because I wasn't sure. Like I was still trying to figure out for myself if I was like even worthy of like charging. You know what I mean? Like in the beginning, you're just kind of like you have this self-doubt, so you do go through it. I feel, but I would say like I said, like just the more that you did it, the more you felt more comfortable and more confident, and I feel like that's kind of like how I always like based my pricing on, you know, and I feel like that's just kind of like it just naturally just happened. I feel fact is big.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think a lot of times the way that I think about confidence and self-esteem is like a house. You have to build it brick by brick.
Yeah,
you know?
really.
Like it really starts somewhere.
Yeah, and definitely the more you know, obviously the more clients I did, the more feedback I got, and of course you're getting practice too. You know, like you're not just, you know, the more like with makeup, it's like you do one thing, and you know once you start that person, you're sort of nervous until you're finished, and then you look in the mirror and you're like, you know, actually, you know, it's funny because I don't even like ask. I'm just like, if I don't get that reaction, like even up to now, and that has not changed like throughout the years. That will never change ever. Like even if I know like I have the skill, there's that part of me in my head. I'm just like, okay, she's about to look in the mirror. You know, she gonna like it. She better love it. But you know, like it's always that moment. Like no matter how long you've been doing it, like, and I feel like from the very beginning, I always felt that way. Like at the end, I'm like, okay, I can love it. So, you know, it was always very nerve-wracking, and it still happens. Like if I'm being 100% honest, you know, years after, it still happens. So
sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, that just means that it doesn't sound like you take your work personally in a bad way, but it sounds like, you know, you care about what you do.
No, I really do. Like, the most important thing to me is making, like, my clients happy. And I feel like that's kind of, like, that's a big reason why, because they're, like, you know, throughout the years are just, you know, people have stuck with me for a really long time, and I'm so appreciative of that. Like, no matter... There's like 1,000 other makeup artists, so they're still gonna call me, so I'm so appreciative of that. And I feel like it's, you know, you have to put in the extra bit of work to make sure that they're happy and try to be as accommodating. And I feel like that really like has helped, you know, because I've pretty much always tried to put them first in that sense, like, you know, just making sure that they're comfortable and happy. So yeah.
So especially with, you know, bridal makeup, proms, other big
Yeah.
events like that, you're doing makeup for people who are probably stressed about whatever day and event is
yes.
going on.
Oh yes. I feel like I'm like their therapist
Yeah.
for a bit, like for the hour that they're or more that they're with me. It's totally like a therapy session / makeup session / like I don't even know. I don't want to say gossip session, but you know, like they're just venting. And they're going through so much like that moment, and I'm usually like the last person they see before their event really starts. So like sometimes the vibes are usually good, but sometimes I'm just like, zoop. Like I can already tell they're really not in the mood. So it's like all about like kind of like figuring out your clients, understanding the mood they're in. Like it's a lot more than just makeup, definitely.
Yeah. How do you deal with unhappy clients?
In terms of like
Either
like if they're just in a bad mood or unhappy with me, like
Both.
with my work or whatever.
Both.
So definitely, like I said, I kind of like to feel my clients out. If I know if something's bothering them, if it has something to do with me, they're just unhappy. It just, honestly, the entire glam session always goes better and just more easygoing when like we're at least comfortable with each other. If I know someone's just not in the mood and they're just having a really bad day, the cake didn't arrive on time, like whatever the situation is, you know, I try to like not cheer them up, but I try to like, you know, let them talk about it, because I feel like when something's bothering you, if you can open up and talk about it, no matter to who, you know, to your makeup artist, you just know better about it.
For sure.
So, you know, and then sometimes I'll just, hey, are you okay? You know, like what's wrong? And then sometimes they'll just be like, okay, and just tell me everything, like what happened, like, you know, and then I'm just like, okay, so we're doing this, like, you know, you're telling me all about, you know, from the start of your wedding planning and all, you know, but, and that's what I just like to just make them feel like there's a little bit more of a, like a personal connection, and I feel like they do definitely, most of my clients open up. I can't remember the last time I did like a client and it was just silent for the whole thing, like, that would just be weird. You know?
Yeah, I mean, it really does sound like you're like a therapist. For
exactly, yeah. And I'm happy in terms of my work, honestly. Like, I would never leave a glam session with a client unhappy. I just hate to say it, but like there really hasn't been a time where they were like, I hate it, and you know, like I don't. I mean, like, is this wood, Tish?
Yeah.
Okay, no. Like, I hope to God it never happens to me, but there really hasn't been a time where a client was like, oh my God, I hate it, do it over. But they have been there. There's obviously times where, you know, they think they may want to look and it doesn't come out, it's not exactly what they thought they may have wanted, or they try a lipstick and they're like, you know, I'm so sorry, I know you love it, but I'm not feeling comfortable. Like, I will I would never leave them unhappy. And that's like when I do my scheduling, my appointments, I leave, like when you're booking me, I do leave like, there's some extra time that I include in there before getting to my next client to make sure if I have to fix anything, you know, there's always some time to do that. So I definitely set aside time for that. And also, what was I gonna say? So definitely, like if they are unhappy with something and I am running late to my next client and I kind of get like in a little bit of a bind, you know, I just call over my next client. Usually they're just like very understanding. They're like, hey, you know, I know I just be like, I take a little longer, and I try to work it out. Sometimes you get in a tough situation, tough place where there just isn't any time. You have to like fix a little something if they're crying. But honestly, it's just about staying calm and just making them feel that you want to fix it. You know, which I generally do. When they feel like, you know, you're understanding and you want them to feel comfortable. You want them to look perfect, and them to feel perfect. You know, once they realize that I'm trying. Usually they're like, okay, girl, you know what? I'll rock the red lipstick. You said it's good, all right, you know. But they just need to feel like assured that they're looking their best. So, yeah. But that's kind of like how I deal with it. You know, sometimes like I wouldn't say like, you know, like it's easy, but you know, there are times that I will run into a situation like that, and you just have to figure it out.
Absolutely.
Figure it out.
And honestly, like hearing you say all of this, it really goes back to dealing with people and knowing how to communicate, because no matter what type of business you have, being an entrepreneur, you're working with humans, and you really what this is customer service.
I totally 100%.
Yeah. So going back a little to more of like the art side of what you do and the skill set, what were some of the steps that you took to sort of perfect that skill? And what do you do now to like continue that learning?
Honestly, I feel like when I look back at my work from years ago when I first started, I feel like the looks I may have created or things that I've done, I feel like they are very like the work in comparison to the work that I provide now. I just feel like it's mastered. It's the same looks that I'm doing, but it's just more polished. Of course, like it's really hard nowadays, especially with social media. I'm going back to that because since I have an outlet to talk about it, I'm definitely going to speak about it. With social media, it's very hard because a lot of things now are more trendy than classic in terms of makeup. So I would say like I definitely stuck to my style, and I feel like that's worked for me rather than against me. Of course, there are like new trendy things, like there's so many different like trendy looks that are coming out and people are requesting, and of course like you have to find a balance of trying to keep up with that, but also like sticking to what is like your style. And I feel like that's kind of what I did. I chose to do that. I chose to like stick to my own style, and then I just felt like over the years I just perfected it. So just doing something over and over again, you just get better. It's like practice. Like after every client, you just get better and better once you keep on practicing. So I feel like, from when I started, I would say like I really have the same style because I like more classic makeup, especially when it comes to bridal. But I just feel like now I've just kind of like just kind of tweaked it and just gotten perfected it over the years.
Awesome.
So I would say definitely that's like just staying true to your style has really helped me, and I feel like that's like a big reason. Like if someone is specifically requesting me for bridal, I feel like it's because they already know what they're gonna get. They already know like my signature style, so that's why they book me, and then I continue to do that because if I switch up, like there's a reason why they see my work and they want me already. So I'm not gonna go just give them a totally different thing. I'm gonna stick to my style. So
and it's actually this is a really important core theme for everything that you're talking about. In the beginning, you talked about just staying true to yourself.
Yeah, definitely. Like in all ways, in all possible ways, in your art, in your aura, everything. You just gotta just be the same person that you are. Because at the end of the day, if you keep switching up, you're gonna forget who to be.
And when you are your business too, that's essentially your brand. And so having a consistent brand is how people know how to identify you and know how to resonate with you.
Yeah, and it's happened. I feel like it's happened several times where I may have had a bride and she honestly did 2 trials with me and maybe someone else. And she's actually told me hey, I really like that other person too, but I just really want, and I really love you too. I couldn't even decide, but I decided to go with you because you were just I was just more easygoing around you. And that made me feel really good because I'm like, okay, so all that, because it was obviously hard work, and Tish would understand this too, and I'm sure you would understand. It's hard work always being happy, even when you're not, there are days you're just really not happy, but at the end of the day, this person is expecting you to be happy.
You're paying for a service.
It's a service, and like I said, at that moment before, especially with brides, it's an energy. You're paying for good energy on your wedding day, and every time I hear that, of course I get compliments on my makeup, but when I get compliments on myself, it's much more rewarding, than oh my gosh, your makeup's so great, and oh my god, you're just so nice. I prefer that. As cheesy as it sounds.
It's part of the whole package.
It really is. It It really is. It truly, truly is. And I feel like that's so important with customer service. Of course, you need to keep on working and sharpen your skills, but also your social skills. Also, you know, so that's definitely very important to me too.
Yeah, no, that's actually one of the best pieces of advice that I've ever gotten, was just to always be someone that people want to work with.
Yeah,
and that
of
has
course.
carried me throughout.
And like I said, like as I gave you the example, it could really make or break, like, you know, your selling point, you know? Like she chose me because I was just nicer. There you go.
And it helps.
Yeah, it helps, yeah.
So we talked, one of the common themes that we're also talking about is social media. So
Okay.
I know that you mentioned early on that, you know, when you started out, there was really just Facebook, but people weren't doing beauty on Facebook like it is now,
it was
especially
just
with Instagram.
Yeah.
So how has social media impacted your career and that transition from, you know, or just like the existence of Instagram? How has that changed the game in terms of what you do, how you talk about yourself?
Instagram. So, okay, I would definitely say it's so crazy because I literally have like clients A and clients B. Client A are the clients that are referred to me and just know me because they just have heard of me, their mom went to me, their sister went to me, their cousins and all that, right? Those are the ones that have like heard about me from like day one, from like when I first started out. And they're amazing, of course. All my clients are amazing. Clients A and B. But clients A, those are the ones that are they're coming to me because they've actually seen my work in person. They went to some event, this person had, you know, got their makeup buddy. And then there's clients B who are just finding me off Instagram and they don't know anything about me. And so it's such it's with Instagram for me and social media, along with the pros, there are a lot of cons, and that's probably one of them. They have no idea of the person that I am. And that makes a really big difference because when they inquire with me, they absolutely know nothing about me, so they don't know really much about my experience or if I'm a nice person. They just kind of know, okay, she has makeup on her page, I need to go to an event, I need makeup. They really don't know about me. So they kind of, so I feel like I do get new clients, you know, off Instagram. It's definitely like promoting your business, but at the same time, I do get clients that really have no idea about me. So it's kind of like, it's so the entire, I would say like, you know, that I wouldn't say like, it's not as intimate as if I kind of like got a referral from someone that already kind of knows about me. You know, it's kind of like, okay, it just really feels like a service, and I really try my best to go that extra step and make it a little bit more personable, just so it's more comfortable. And also with Instagram and social media, like it's when people are looking for a makeup artist or a hairstylist on Instagram, and they're kind of just looking at numbers, and it also can definitely like work against you. When I say that, it's like, you know, if this person's like 100,000 followers, they just assume that person's gonna be better. And that's kind of, sometimes it doesn't really work out that way, you know? So I would say that's definitely like the struggle, like every day, like trying to kind of figure out how to like stay in my work style in terms of like being very personable. But then when I have clients that are just finding me off Instagram, it's just very, it's just like, okay, how much do you charge? I'm here, and it's just like, you know, so
It's
I would
like,
say,
what's the bottom line?
it's like, what's the bottom line when they message me? And it's like, I'm just so, of course I'm used to that now, but it's just like, I definitely like, I just want to make it more personable, and it's very hard to, because they're reaching out not just to me, they're to probably 10 different people at the same time. I've gotten some times where they're just like, oh wait, didn't you see another price? I'm like, no. You know, it's somebody else, you probably just asked, you know, so it gets sort of like, you know, there are definitely pros and cons. But you just have to keep up, you know, like I said, even like with the trendy makeup looks and stuff, like people are finding on Instagram and they're showing me, and I'm like, oh my goodness.
And I'm sure it can be a little demoralizing too when you know people are just like assessing your work against like all of these other like just pictures they see on Instagram.
And they want to do a lot of bargaining because, like I said, they don't really understand you know, that the service, like, and what I provide, they don't really understand it too much. They just need a makeup artist. They're inquiring with 100 people. They want to get to the bottom line, and sometimes, you know, you kind of lose that, you know, I would say that like I said, that the connection, you know, you want to have with a client.
Yeah.
But other than that, like, Instagram is great. You know, you do get booked, you know, extra bookings here and there. People find you. And actually, that's what I was thinking was the biggest pro. Like, I've met so many amazing people off Instagram. Like, I can't even tell you, like, it's just really, really crazy. Like, with the hashtags, what? Like, what? It's so nuts. Like, I've had, just like recently, like, I did this wrestler it was WrestleMania, right? And I was curious to know, like, hey, how did you find me, right? It's like, all right, I know my auntie didn't tell you about me, where did, you know? So it's like, come on, where did you find me, right?
Yeah.
So she's like, of course, Instagram, but she was like, it was through a hashtag, and I was like, that's amazing, you know, like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Because I had put, I think it was a hashtag NYC makeup artist, and she was coming to NYC. She lives in
so crazy.
Nowhere. But, you know, definitely she doesn't live in New York, so she just hashed her agent, just hashtag NYC makeup artist. She saw my pictures and she was like, hey, want to book you for WrestleMania? I was like, okay, cool. You know?
There you go.
So yeah, so that's definitely one of the pros about it. And then the cons, definitely try to filter out, and it's just much more. It's like I feel like a robot when I'm answering Instagram inquiries.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's the con.
I mean,
If I had to, like, sum it up, it's like, I
yeah.
feel like a robot, like a robot.
Right. Or like it's, you know, like you would need an assistant or someone to just like go through all of that.
Yeah.
And I think too, one of the differences of just hearing you kind of talk about the people who are gonna know about you from referrals.
Yeah.
First of all, they're seeing what your work is. You have these walking advertisements of people, you know, wearing your makeup. But then secondly, like there's some inherent trust between that person that's wearing your makeup and the person that's saying, hey, she can do yours too.
Yeah, it eliminates that person having that, like, if they find me on Instagram, having that doubt, like, is she gonna be as good as she is on Instagram?
Right.
But when I get like an actual referral, they're like, oh, I saw her work, and like, you know, my aunt said she was amazing, she was so nice, and she was so, you know, so all that just adds in, it definitely like confirms like the trust there. So that I really do enjoy those clients that are referred to and see my work in person.
Yeah, awesome. So I want to know a little bit more about what's your day-to-day like? Like, what is the life of a makeup artist, you know, Monday through Sunday?
I'm going to tell you a funny story. Literally last night at 1 a.m. Last night at 1 a.m. I got a text message, an inquiry. And I was like, really? Like, I have an interview tomorrow, guys?
Usually.
But it's honestly, like, at this point, you know, it is what it is. I don't really be like, oh my gosh, why are people messaging me at 12 at 1 a.m.? Because, like, I'm a mom now, so I get it. You know, other moms are messaging me at 12. I'm like, girl, I feel you. I feel you. This is the time for yourself. But that's kind of what it's like. You're just, especially now that I have a baby, it's even that much more difficult to get to inquiries right away. I try to get to all my inquiries, like, as fast as I can, but, like, it's usually in between, like, feeding or a diaper or whatever. So usually I am replying to my inquiries, like, at 1 in the morning, when I can, like, have that time for myself, uninterrupted to, like, really answer back. But literally, the life of a makeup artist is, it's a lot more. I was telling someone this the other day. It's a lot. I feel like it's a lot more work replying to inquiries, setting up the session, the glam session, than actually doing the glam session. Especially like when you're dealing with bridals and stuff, because they're also waiting to hear back time from their photographers or whatever. They're trying to plan their day. They don't always have a set time, and I try not to be so. Well, okay, in my contract, we said 12, so if you change to 12:30, I can't. Like, I try to really be very accommodating, especially when it comes to, like, bridals and big events, because I know I'm not the only vendor. You know, I'm trying to work around the photographer and whoever else, and the hairstylist, so I try to be as accommodating as I can, and I feel like that's usually the hardest part And that's definitely a really big part, scheduling and inquiries. That's definitely like the life of a makeup artist. And also, like restocking your kits, all those things, cleaning your brushes. There's a whole lot of other things that are, that you have to be responsible for besides the actual makeup session.
Right.
And there's a lot that goes into it. You have to keep up with new products. Sometimes as a makeup artist, that's been doing lose out clientele just because you don't have the new things, but then you're so accustomed to using certain products that you've been using for years. So that's all it's all a part of the overall life of a makeup artist, between answering inquiries, scheduling, and also, stocking your kit and all those things.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of other things that go on besides the makeup.
For sure.
Yeah.
And these are all parts of, being a solo entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
Because there is the art and just like getting into it and doing the makeup, but then there's the business admin side of it and all of these different aspects that you as one person have to do all of them.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, it is tough. And then everyone's like, oh, but you can get an assistant. And I'm just like, I know I can, but I feel like a big part of the reason why I get referred to and my clients want to directly speak to me. And it sounds so bad, but I feel like if I'm like, speak to my assistant, they're gonna be like, come on, Kim.
Yeah.
Answer your phone. Get back to me. I always talk to you, And so, and then I'm not gonna lie, I feel like I'm also that type that would want to micromanage. Okay, check back what she tried to help me with. So I'm just for now, I feel like I'm getting by and I'm getting it done. So, but if I need to have an assistant someday, maybe I will. But
that's what scaling looks like, right? Yeah. Right now, you're at a point where you can handle it.
You're right. And then some days, and then there are days I'm like, oh my god, how did I book this day? Can I handle it? But somehow it gets done. So
yeah. So you mentioned that you're a new mom. Can you talk? Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Can you talk a little bit about what just balancing this career and being a new mom is like?
I definitely, as cliche as it sounds, being a mom is a full-time job. It is a full-time job. It is. Forget it. For moms who also work a 9 to 5, they have 2 full-time jobs. It's crazy. And so I feel I definitely feel being a mom now it's of course a lot of work. It's so rewarding. I love my little girl. She's so cute.
She's so cute. She
I
is.
love her. But definitely also still doing makeup, I feel has really kept me sane. And because it's almost like when you have a baby, they are your entire life. They really are. And I feel having my makeup and also still working when I can has kept me very grounded, because I'm able to still talk to adults.
Yeah,
also, and not just baby talk all day long. So, but it is definitely challenging at days. But honestly, when you have a baby, you have to be them. You have to change your diaper.
Right.
You have to make sure they're okay. It's literally comes it's just second nature. You just have to get it done. And if you're also trying to work, you just have to get that done. And there really is no there's no guidebook or manual how to do that.
Yeah.
You just go, you just kind of figure it out.
Right.
You really do. But being a new mom, and I definitely feel it's changed whatever aspirations I had before. It's definitely alternated a bit, because you're not just thinking about yourself now, and your own dreams and your, of course it's good to still have them, but what I'm trying to say is being a new mom, it kind of switches it up a little bit. So I definitely feel
maybe.
Yeah, you reprioritize, and so it's definitely been it's been a roller coaster. I feel this whole year has went by so fast because she's almost 1, and I feel I'm also working, on the weekends and stuff. It's really helped me stay grounded and not totally go super crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And with that, did you take a break at all, like during your pregnancy or after?
Okay, I did take a break. I did. So my daughter came in 7 months early, which was a surprise. So I was, I worked on the day that she was born. Technically,
did you get to finish the job?
I did. No, I did. I definitely did. It wasn't like that. I was like, I meant like in terms of the actual day. Like, so my client left me at like 4:30 p.m. Her name is Tiffany. If she watches this, you were my last client before I became a mom. And so I did her. She was having a photo shoot for her upcoming wedding. And so she came over and I did her makeup, and then that was like, she left around 4 p.m. and then like 3 a.m. I had my water broke. So I worked up until the very last day, and literally when I got to the hospital, because remember at this point I was still working and my daughter wasn't supposed to come for another month. So I had clients that weekend. I gave my water broke on Thursday, so the upcoming Saturday and Sunday I had clients scheduled.
Wow.
So I'm just like in the delivery room, like texting my clients, "Hey guys, sorry, I'm so sorry, like I can't do your event this weekend. Like I'm having a baby today." Like right now, yeah. And they were like, "Oh my god, why are you texting me? Like why? Like it's okay. Like like get off your phone. Like go have your baby."
Yeah.
But so I definitely worked up until the end, and I took about, I would say like 2 straight months off when I had my baby. Meaning like I took absolutely no clients for 2 months, and then I gradually started working again. And when I say gradual, I would say like after the 2nd month, I would say like I took like 2 clients for the weekend, just to, because at that point you just have like that separation anxiety from your kid,
right?
And you're just like, oh my gosh, like does my mom know how to burp her? You're trying to the client, you're thinking like, okay, so I started off doing it like 2 to 3 clients, and now I'm just like full blown now. Like it's almost been a year, but yeah. So I definitely did it like that. Just transitioned right back into it.
Yeah,
little by little.
For sure. And it sounds too, when you were talking a little bit before about balance, what's really important is that you're doing something that you love.
Right. Definitely. So that's really the plus side about it, because I think about moms who. I was talking to my friend just yesterday, and like we were just talking, and I was like, I can't imagine, like after, maternity leave is what, 3 months for in New York State?
I think so.
3 months? Like
it's definitely not 6 yet. Yeah.
It's definitely not.
Nearly what it should
definitely
be.
Not. We need to do something about it.
Yeah.
It's horrible, and I feel like where I was at 3 months after I gave birth, like I can't even fathom the idea of leaving her for that many hours a day for 5 days a week. Like I couldn't.
Yeah.
Like I would have just been like, that's impossible. Like are you kidding me? So the fact that I'm able to do what I love and then also manage how much I work is really the best part about my job. Especially now that I have a daughter. Because certain different jobs won't understand. Like her first birthday's coming up, they'd be like, so what? Like it's her first birthday. Sorry, we can't give you this time off. Yeah. And and with me, it's like all my clients are so understanding. Her birthday's July 12th, and I have so many inquiries. And I'm like, I'm sorry guys, I won't be working. And they're like, oh my god, enjoy your daughter's first birthday. And it's just so amazing to have like a job where people also are very understanding about your life. And that's a really big part of why I really, I got a taste of this career, and I really stuck with it, because I'm definitely able to alter how much I work and when I want to work. So it really does work out, and it's super beneficial when you're a mom to be able to do this. So I'm very appreciative of my clients for that. They're so understanding. Even when the times that she may have gotten sick, and I'm like, I'm running a little bit late, she's sick. They're like, oh my gosh, take your time. So like, it's definitely, it's been good.
Yeah.
To be.
I mean, flexibility just for women, professional women overall, is such an important thing.
It's so true, because people don't really understand like how much women really have to do. I feel like even if you're just married, without even kids yet. There's just so much to do.
Yeah,
you know,
probably
and
women
just, like,
still do most of the housework and all of that.
right, it's crazy, guys. You guys gotta step it up.
Yeah.
Come on, clean the bathroom, help your wives out.
Yeah.
Like, there's
You
just
were
too
there
much, right? Too much.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one thing that I wanted to ask about before when we were kind of talking about the different types of jobs. So, you know, you have your clients that are more event-based, but then you have these bigger jobs like the Met Gala. How do those types of inquiries come in, like doing something like the Met Gala versus your other clients?
Well, so my clients that I, you know, like the bridal and of course, you know, the proms, the parties, and all those big showers, bridal showers.
Mm-hmm.
Those are definitely like I said, like from referrals from Instagram, and the bigger ones are honestly those are by networking. A lot of networking, and it's crazy as it sounds. Not really crazy, more cliche, but it's definitely about who you know.
Absolutely.
So yeah, definitely networking. You know, you want to try to get yourself into a circle where if you know you have a vision for yourself, you have to kind of try to get into a circle where it's gonna grant you that opportunity.
Yeah.
So, and that's very difficult. It's very, very difficult. You know, like for those bigger jobs, it's definitely networking and trying to find, you know, be around people that can help you, you can help them, and that's just how it goes, you know. But yeah, those are tough.
Yeah.
That's when you get them, you're like, wow, finally.
Yeah. And I'm sure, you know, being in New York City helps just your ability to be in those circles.
Definitely, of course. That's why you see like when on Instagram, you see like celebrity makeup artists, it's either LA or New York. But and that's tough because, you know, you think about people who are living everywhere else, it's tough because, you know, they already feel like, oh my gosh, I have to move to New York, I have to move to LA to do these things, and it's quite tough. But so yes, being in New York does help.
Yeah.
Now that you mentioned that, yeah, it really does help being here and working here. But yeah, definitely networking, and you can never do too much of it. You know, that's why when there are certain opportunities, it's almost like you have to kind of like pay your dues. Sometimes there might be one or two things you have to help out or assist. You know, like the Met Gala. You know, I was assisting a celebrity makeup artist, and you know, of course, even in my mind, everyone's like, oh my god, like, that was so amazing. And like, of course, I knew it was amazing, but I'm just like, yeah, it was amazing. But you know, one day I'm gonna be that makeup artist, you know. So you have to always keep on thinking about the future and keep on working for something, towards something, you know. So you know, I feel like those bigger jobs, you know, when you get them here and there, it's great and you get a taste of it, but it also reminds you, like, you know, keep on working harder, you know, so there'll be more because they're not every day. Those are the ones that you get here and there. So
absolutely. And what does networking in the world of makeup artistry look like? Like, are there organizations that you're a part of, or are there just events?
Honestly, like for those sort of things, there are agencies that they have. You know, it's like when you have an agent, you gotta pay your agent, right? You know, so you are your own boss, but you're really not. You know, so but when it comes to networking in the makeup industry, I really would say, when I said paying dues, it's almost like there might be, like I said, a celebrity artist, or you know, that they're looking for like an intern or someone to help out that day. So you know. And those are some long days. Like the Met Gala was a really, really long day, but sometimes you have to do that in order to be recognized, and that's what makes you kind of like stand out. So networking definitely are like, you know, they'll have like certain events. I know you might want to attend, and like it's basically and with social media, that's also a pro because you're able to get the scoop on certain things because it's just everywhere. You know, on social media, people are posting and stuff like that. So it's really kind of what it is, and it's also like taking a shot sometimes because, you know, these makeup companies and you know, these celebrity artists and stuff like that, they have their email and their bio, you know, and you just never know. It's sometimes about taking a chance, you know. If you don't ask, the answer is no already. So it's sometimes about asking and just really trying to put yourself out there. You know, the more you put yourself out there, you know, the more you have a chance of getting something in return. So yeah. I would say that's definitely like, it's not like one website you go to if you want to like
Right.
network. You know, it's all about trying all different ways, you know, and then so I would say definitely like if you're a makeup artist and you're looking to network, it's really about, you know, there might be even volunteering and helping, assisting, emailing, you know, it all can help you, you know, keep on trying.
Cool. So just a couple more questions,
Yeah.
but one thing I'd love to know is what would you tell your younger self when you were really coming up and starting to figure out this is what you wanted to do?
What's crazy is that like, that's a good question. And I feel like, especially now, I see a lot of my younger selves. A lot of them. I see a lot of them. I see a lot of younger me's. And what I would tell myself, I would say, like, don't be afraid, you know? Honestly, because I feel like it's so intimidating when you want to be in a business where it's a little saturated. You know, that's just me being 100% honest, you know? And makeup, hair, bridal, all that stuff, beauty industry, anything, I feel like it's becoming a little, there's a lot of competition. There's so many people doing it. And what I would say to my younger self is don't be afraid. Just because there are so many, there's only one you. And if you really stick to, you know, if you really stick to your style, like, and you really stick to your, you know, just being personable, try to just be the best person you can be, it will reflect on your work and it will reflect on your feedback as well. And I feel like, if I could, there's one thing I could tell my younger self would be to be a little bit more confident a little bit earlier on. Like for me, I felt like it took me so many years for me to be like, okay, you're all right, you're okay. You know, like I even though I was hearing it, I felt like I didn't feel it. And I didn't feed off that energy. Like I feel like if I had that energy earlier on, I feel like it would have just sped up things for me. And I feel like if I can tell my younger self, I would just say like, you know, like you got it, like you can do it, like, you know. And it's silly as it sounds, like I wish I really did say that a little bit earlier, because that would have given me the confidence to network sooner and you know, and build and try to build earlier on. And that's kind of what I would say to my younger self, and that's definitely what I would say to the younger generation that are also trying to do the same thing I'm doing. You know, just be confident and stick to your style, especially in the artistry part of it.
Right.
Like in your skills and it's almost like if you try 1,000 things and you're trying to keep up, you don't give yourself the opportunity to master one thing. And I feel like that's really, really worked for me. And so I would definitely tell, like, you know, my younger self, like, you know, like just stick to what you know, and which I did, but I would just like remind myself a little bit more too. You know, and also I would also say that to the younger makeup artists growing, trying to, you know, make it.
Yeah, that's great advice. So obviously on Instagram especially, but within the world of social media, there's a ton of beauty influencers out there. So not always just makeup artists, but people maybe like Deepika who are just like into beauty, want to talk about beauty and sharing about it. Can you talk a little bit about some of the people that you follow, but also just your thoughts on like diversity in beauty and where the industry is going?
Sure. I'm very okay, so beauty influencers.
Conversation.
Honest. I'm so honest. Like people say to me, like if you ask my opinion, I'm gonna give you my honest opinion. So beauty influencers, I feel there are some really good ones, and then there are some imposters. Right. I mean, honestly, like I love seeing diversity in beauty. Before I really got into bridal makeup, I used to work for this company, and I'm not going to go into names, but I used to work for this company, and it was a Black-owned business, and we did a lot of women in color, and people felt so inclusive. And it sounds like something that should just be so obvious, like everybody should be included in the beauty industry, right? But oftentimes they really aren't, and that was working there for many years. It really helped me because I felt like in terms of, it really helped me in terms of understanding the industry aspect of it because, women of color from light brown to dark brown, we all want to feel beautiful. We all want to feel included at the end of the day. And I feel like with beauty influencers, there are some like Dipka, which I can honestly tell you, and I feel like everyone that follows her can just totally see that she's really genuine about it. And then there are some beauty influencers who use it, who absolutely use trying to be inclusive, and they kind of like use the the beauty industry and to their advantage, that they're not actually genuine about it. And when I start following someone and I kind of get that vibe from that beauty influencer that they're just like, hey, use this product because I think it's so great.
Yeah. And I think,
I feel like it's just not genuine. I'm just very turned off because, it's like people are really watching you.
Mm-hmm.
The younger girls are really watching you and they really want, it's too much influence.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying with the beauty influencers? I feel like when it's too much of, when I feel like, especially for young women growing up, when I see they just want to completely look like that person.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm turned off and I don't, so I feel like there are some genuine ones and I feel like there aren't, and I feel like there are people who are just kind of riding the wave on that, and that's kind of when I'm just like, this is not
right. Especially with creating content, authenticity is so important. I think that's exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And people can tell when you're not.
When you're not, right. And there was like this recent article, I'm not sure if you guys saw it, that was going around all over social media where this beauty influencer, she had like 2.6 something million followers, and she couldn't sell 36 t-shirts. Did you see that?
No.
There was, I don't really honestly remember the name or whatever, but so it's just really crazy because I feel like I said, going back to like the number aspect of everything, even with the beauty influencers, they're like, I want to look like this person because 2 million people are following them. So I feel like that's the part where it kind of gets lost. The whole idea of an influencer, it just gets lost, and it's sad sometimes when I see it happen too often. But like I said, there are some really genuine people out there, beauty influencers that I love following. So I feel like that's it. There's always a few bad apples, right? In almost everything. So that's how I really feel about that. But I mean, I'm so proud to see, because from back when I started until now, there are so many beauty brands that are coming out for things for us. So it's really amazing to see, because I'm telling you, it was a real struggle when I first started. There was like 3 foundation colors that were actually good for us, like women of color. There were like 3 brands, and now there's so many. So there's so many options. So I'm really happy to see that.
Yeah, and just the last thing I want to talk about is that for a little bit. The importance of actual, not just being able to do makeup that's appropriate for skin of color, but also like being able to find makeup that's made for people of color, and just like the formulations and that.
Yep. And there are so many, besides the fact of that there are now shades for women of color, there are actually now a lot more women of color owned beauty brands, and that absolutely makes a big difference. Like everybody knows Huda Beauty. I'm sure everybody knows Huda Beauty, and she's very I believe she's Middle Eastern, so some sort. She created this brand. I'm just using her as an example.
Yeah.
But she definitely kept her people in mind, and the more, and I'm seeing that a lot more, so with different beauty brands, they're not just creating colors for women, they are a woman of color, so they understand, they had an understanding going into it, so it just makes all the difference there too. So that's amazing to see, because when I first started, there were a handful, and now there's a lot.
Right.
There still could be more, but there is a lot, and so it's getting a lot better. So that's great to see.
Yeah.
Especially since I'm doing a lot of women of color myself, you know? So that's amazing.
And that's important too, to just like know how to do makeup for women of color. I mean, I know my own personal experience. If I'm going to a wedding in another state or something like that, I won't trust other makeup artists because I know they don't know how to do the right coloring for my skin.
I get that a lot. I get that a lot when I have clients that are like traveling out. They're like, I wish I could just put you in my suitcase and take me. But it is true, and that's also a great tip for makeup artists out there. You really need to be well-rounded in terms of all types of shades. That is a part of being a makeup artist and or even a hairstylist. You have to know how to work with different people and different skin tones and hair textures and all that stuff. You have to include everybody. You can't, and so that's also very, very, very important. So it's always fun when people are like, Kim, I'm going away and I don't know if they're gonna be able to get this right. I'm not seeing that they have many shades on their page. So it's very important to definitely, especially when you do have the skill and you do know how to work on women of color, it's very important also to advertise that because you want to seem very well-rounded. You want anybody to be able to contact you and feel comfortable and feel confident. Okay, she can do this because she posted like there's so many 3-4 pictures of all different kinds of women, so she's able to do it. But that's definitely very important as well.
Absolutely. Well, Kim, thank you so much for taking your time to chat with
pleasure.
us. I feel like I learned so much about how you figured it out.
Thank you guys for having me. It was so great to talk about all these things. They're usually just kind of like circling around in my head. So I was able to speak about it, so that was amazing.
Yeah, we're so happy to have you. So can you just let everyone know where they can find you online, how they can contact you?
Yes, so my email is kimksharmaglam@gmail.com. My website is kimksharma.com. So easy to remember. And my Instagram page is Kim_K_Sharma. And you can find me there. My work is posted there along with some of my own pictures.
Love it, you're a real person. We got it.
I'm a real person. Here I am.
Your baby's super cute. We'll take it.
Thank you so much. But thank you guys for having me. Yes, you guys can find me on there. And it's been fun.
Yeah. Well, thanks everyone for watching this episode of Figuring It Out at the Figure Studio. Stay tuned for the next episode. Talk to you soon.